Alright, hello and welcome back to my channel. This is going to be my newest review, of course, of the new Teezo Touchdown album, How Do You Sleep at Night. Now, if you follow Teezo on social media, you'll see that he asked for everyone who reviews this to be in pajamas, so I am following that order. That's why I look like this. I know this is not going to be vastly seen, but still, I thought it would be fun to participate. So yes, Teezo Touchdown. He's a relatively new artist that has been getting a lot of traction amongst mainly the hip-hop community over the past few months, especially with his illustrious features on songs like Run It Up by Tyler, the Creator, Modern Jam by Travis Scott, Luckily I'm Having by Don Toliver, and Full English by Paris, Texas. And with each appearance, he is completely different, and it is completely unexpected for what he's going to provide to each song that he's being featured on. So going into this, I feel like no one really knew what to expect, but this is actually a really fun LP to listen to, especially with that going in of not knowing what's coming next and what is going to be the next sound you're going to hear. Teezo really brings a lot of different sounds to the table for this, and I think for the most part he does a really good job, but there is some major stinkers in this project too, and the album really starts to fall off in the second half, which I think does seem to be the wide consensus on this album, is that the second half is not nearly as strong as the first half. I think for me personally, after Mood Swings is where it takes a nosedive with moments like Too Easy. You get him trying to take some sort of stadium anthem with a feature, Isaiah Rusk, which just feels like something I would have heard on like an old Guitar Hero game. I feel like that's what it reminds me of. What stings even more is that the second half of this track is like phenomenal, but I don't want to listen to that shitty first half just to get to the actual good part. In my opinion, like I don't want to have to get through half of this track that is not good just to get to that. Familiarity takes what is so lovable about the first half of the album, where Teezo Touchdown is threading the line between like these cringy sort of late 90s and early 2000s pop rock music, and brings out what's best in them. It's like that like cheesiness, and it's like just the perfect amount. And he's just taking it a bit too on the nose, honestly. And he's got pretty annoying delivery on the verse here. I do like the instrumental here quite a bit, but his vocals are just all over, and I just, as I said, I get annoyed by them. And I think it really just takes that sort of, like I said, late 90s, early 2000s sort of pop rock moments, and it just does it like too in your face. And so I think that was a big miss for me. I Don't Think You See Me is possibly the worst track I have heard this year. I'm not sure if that's a hot take, but it sounds like Isaiah Rusk, who does the first part, heard a Hobo Johnson song and was like, yeah, I gotta use that flow, because that's exactly what it sounds like. It's awful, and it does break into Teezo on the second half, and he does some decent singing, but I think the first half unfortunately just ruins the song too much, and the damage is already done to the track, and it is awful, and it should have been left off the album. I feel like both songs with Isaiah Rusk really are hard listens, and I am not sure who he is. I didn't actually dive into my research for who he is. I know the other features, but yeah, him, I don't know. Both of his appearances on this were not very good, and I definitely would have liked to seen those left off. Daddy Mama Drama, I've seen getting a lot of praise on social media, but personally for me, I'm just not a big fan of it. I think the instrumental is painstakingly boring and just plain in the first half, and then it changes to a beat that I don't really find any more exciting in the second half. It just kind of feels like some edgy teens are trying to start a band in the early 2000s, and this is the first song that they like came up with. It's got cringy lyrics, bad vocals, and it's just a really hard listen for me. No shade to people who like this, I just can't really wrap my head around it, and for me it was definitely on the bottom half of the track list for me. The second to last track, Stranger, it feels like it's supposed to have some sort of like deep commentary on society, but to me it just kind of comes across as like some weird Jaden Smith-ass type song. Like it feels like ranty-esque, and I have no idea what Teezo was really going for in the song. It almost feels like a joke, and I don't know if that was a goal or not, but yeah, to me the song was a major miss. The last song that I will talk about in my dislikes, even though it is teetering on the cusp of the like category, it will probably throw some people for a loop, but it is Neighborhood. Because this is one that I see getting a lot of praise, but for me, I just feel like it's just missing like a proper ending. I feel like the whole like storytelling that he's doing, like he's building and building and building, and then I feel like you really don't get like that proper ending. He's doing this thing of like people being misunderstood, and you not knowing the other person's life on the other side, whatever. But then you get to the end and it's just like nothing. Like I don't know, like I feel like it's just missing something. It feels very inconclusive to me, and it feels like it's building up, and then you don't get a proper ending. It kind of feels like what a lot of people were criticizing Jack Harlow for earlier this year with his song "Gang Gang Gang," where you had him talking about like his childhood friends who grew up and got accused of doing all these different things, these horrible things, but then he kind of just like wraps up the song and really doesn't give a proper ending. And I feel like that's exactly what Teezo is doing here, but because it's Teezo Touchdown and he is doing something that is much more experimental and is a little bit cooler than what Jack Harlow is doing, people are kind of giving it a pass. But I kind of feel the same way about both tracks, is that they are both lacking a proper ending. So, yeah, that's my opinion on Neighborhood. I know it is probably a bit of a hot take. Now, of course, I don't want to say negative for this entire review, because I did actually really like some parts of the album, and so I will talk about now what I really liked. And I will say that this project really had a super strong, great 5-track run that it started off with. Okay feels full of personality, with Teezo Touchdown reinforcing that he's going to be doing things his way, no matter what people think, and that you should be doing the same. Not listening to whatever trends are going on and what is getting people such recognition. You should be doing yourself. And it features a heavy electric guitar blaring throughout this, and it feels very nostalgic. And I think that even though the song is just under 2 minutes, it doesn't feel unfinished, and it actually feels like it's fully fleshed out, and he got everything into this track that he really needed to. You Thought has one of my favorite instrumentals that I feel like listen to on repeat alone if it was just instrumental. I love the repetitive nature of the intro and the light guitar plucks and the drums before the heavier guitar riff finally, kind of takes over it all. And Teezo has a great energy with a very monotone delivery, while also being a bit faster paced before he slows down with the instrumental and gets more melodic. Janelle Monáe, while having a pretty minor appearance on this, kind of only doing some, I guess, background vocals, helps a lot with the tone and contrasts very well to Teezo's harsher singing and smooth things out a bit more on this one. The track has a massive 2000s punk rock ambiance to it that feels super reminiscent, and Teezo really does a good job with taking aspects of earlier music and bringing it back, but with a twist that doesn't feel so dated. And he also keeps that sort of cheesy lyrical appeal to it that I think drew a lot of people to it, in the earlier days. And it is one of the best moments on the entire album. And I don't know if he's professionally trained singing, but moments like on this song feels like he might be where he holds like a solid note for a long time, and you have these really nice backing vocals as well. Sweet, I won't talk about for too long. I do like what it does a lot. It is by far, I would say, the most like cookie cutter of all the songs on the entire album. I think it's a really good love song, and I think possibly feels the least like a Teezo Touchdown song, which I know is kind of crazy to say because he's so early in his career, but this one just kind of feels like it sticks out the most and is the least like him as like what we see on the rest of the album. Impossible. This sees him getting into much more of an 80s bag where it, like, as soon as I heard it, I was immediately reminded of like Tears for Fears with their sound that feels heavily inspired. Just like Sweet, I feel like including this type of song, Teezo is really showing his range and that he can make sort of any music that he really wants to. He can go completely across the board, and this is him just kind of showing that and flexing his ability to do so. And I think he does a great job here, and this is one of the strongest moments on the entire project. Mood swings, I just want to say again that I can't believe Thundercat didn't work on this. No matter what anyone says, this has to be inspired by him. I mean, the bass on this feels so funky and just so much like what Thundercat has been doing for his career. But either way, it's super funky and I love it. It's a super fun song and it creates another great atmosphere. Nune, I see kind of people flip-flopping on this. It is a little weird track and it comes in towards the end. I'm not really sure what he was going for, but it does feel like almost like a Super Mario type beat. But hey, I really like it. It's a short little song, but I feel like it does what it needs to and then just dips, and it doesn't feel sort of like undercooked or anything. And I saw people say that he was using the Lost Forever flow from Travis Scott's Utopia. I thought that was interesting. I really didn't pick up on that when I was listening to it, but when I went back with that in mind, I guess you can hear it. The final song, the original, was better. I see has a lot of people torn on how to feel. On it, he speaks of how everyone glorifies the past and doesn't live in the current day or even look to the future for better things. And while yes, it's okay to look back, you got to look at what you have now and where you are now and appreciate, this, the present. And so all of this accumulating and building to the very unexpected EDM beat drop that I don't think anyone could have seen coming at all, especially with kind of how the album has been building and building. But I kind of like it. It's not like the craziest thing I've ever heard. It's not the greatest thing I've ever heard, but I do like it. I think it was kind of fun. Is it the greatest ending that we could have gotten? No, but it is probably the most fun ending we got. So yeah, I would say those are my highlights. I think we're about even for the highlights and the dislikes, which is kind of unfortunate. I was hoping that going into this, of course I kept a very open mind knowing how eclectic Teezo Touchdown would be. But yeah, anyways, let's move on to the next section. This is the highest highs. So first on the highest highs section, we have the best vocal performance. And for this I put with those wonderful backing vocals, with him being sort of belting out his main ones, and then you have him in the background, which just sounds super nice and kind of almost like builds a choir of his own voice. So that was easily the best moment vocally for the entire LP. Best production, I will give to Impossible. I'm a sucker for these sort of 80s throwback tracks, and yeah, what can I say? That's just my opinion. I just really like that. Best songwriting, I put Neighborhood, and while I did say that Teezo kind of fumbled with the ending, I still can't help but really think that he does a good job kind of highlighting on his world building and sort of building up to what would have been a great ending. And I think if he just kind of rounded that out a little bit better, it would have been really good. But clearly this song has the best songwriting, and really I think he's got potential if he wanted to do more songs like this, that he could even better next time. My favorite line on this it is going to be, maybe you wanted to be a DJ, maybe you didn't have gear, maybe you wanted to be an artist, but everybody always called you weird. Maybe you wanted to be a rock star, but somebody told you was too old. Maybe it was all these things, why your record never sold. Who wants to hear a sad song? They never seem to top the charts. Who wants to say what's impossible? The only way is if you never start. I really like this. I feel like this definitely resonated with me. It's definitely the thing that kind of held me from starting this channel in the first place. The only person that's stopping you from doing your dream is yourself. And people can doubt you, and, you know, talk all the shit they want, but in the end, it is you who needs to make the move, and it is you who's got to put that effort forward to do what you want. And I think that's what's so great about the song Impossible, that this lyric comes from. And yeah, I think this is like one of the best moments on the entire album for me personally. Best feature performance, I would say, will be Fouché. I think that's how you say it. Still not sure. I believe I've said it before in a past review. Fouché on Sweet. Yeah, I think she did a really great job. But yeah, that is primarily the mass of the review. Overall, this album tears me all around, and I feel like it's a bit of a conflict. While I really like some of these songs, I also think that a lot of songs majorly miss the mark here. I think I would give this album about a 63%. It's a good, fun listen, but isn't the greatest thing to come out in 2023. This does have me very excited, though, to see what Teezo Touchdown does next. And I think that he's got a very promising future ahead of him, especially if he keeps taking these big risks like he did, I mean, on his debut album here. But yeah, that's your review. Thank you for watching. Follow on TikTok and Instagram for my daily song suggestion series that I do. Subscribe to see more here, and I will see you in the next video. Pajama time. Bye now.